Here's a lesson you probably didn't get in Sunday school. Do you know the real meaning behind the biblical plagues of Egypt? Have you ever asked, why those plagues? Why frogs and flies and locusts and darkness and death of the firstborn? Why not tidal waves, uncontrollable bowel movements, poisonous mists, or appendages falling off? The plagues weren't just Yahweh looking for creative ways to free his people. The Hebrews had been enmeshed in Egyptian culture for 400 years. And with that 400 years of captivity, their beliefs had become intertwined with that of their masters. Hence the reason they eventually forged a gold calf to worship. But that's another video for another time. Think about it. How much of your life is influenced by what's happened around you in the last 400 years? Pretty much everything. And not to mention, in ancient cultures, if you were enslaved by another, that meant their gods were more powerful than yours. If the Hebrews were going to leave Egypt and follow the God of their ancestors and venture out into the unknown, Yahweh had to make a statement. Ancient Egypt was one of the greatest kingdoms in the world's history. Because of this, its gods were believed to be ultra-powerful. Its religions were complex, and its gods, they were involved in every single aspect of its culture. The plagues that God sends against Egypt, they're not random events. They are direct attacks on the Egyptian gods. The plagues were a holy war of Yahweh against the gods of Egypt, showing that he was supreme and even had the ability to control what the Egyptians believed belonged to their gods. Proof? God says it, Exodus 12:12, I am Yahweh. I will execute judgments against all the gods of Egypt. Didn't hear that in Sunday school, did you? Let's just run through them. Plague 1, turning the Nile to blood. This was an attack on Num, creator of life of the Nile, Hapi, god of the Nile, fertility and fish, and Osiris, whose literal bloodstream was believed to be the Nile. Plague 2, overwhelming frogs, an attack on Heket, goddess of fertility. She had the head of a frog. Plague 3, lice, gnats, and the biting insects. A strike on Geb, god of the earth and habitable land. Egyptians believed that insects sprouted from the soil and that bad soil created these terrible creatures. Plague 4, flies, an attack on Ochit, goddess of the marshes and dogflies. These flies weren't just annoying little flies. They were bloodsuckers, and this goddess supposedly kept them at bay. Plague 5, sick cattle and livestock, an attack on Hathor, the fertility goddess with the head of a bull. Plague 6, boils, a strike against Sekhmet, goddess of disease and healing, Isis, goddess of health, and Imhotep, demigod of medicine. Plague 7, thunderstorms of fire and hail, an attack on Nut, goddess of the sky, Set, god of storms in the desert, and Shu, god of wind and air. Plague 8, locusts, also against Osiris. He was also the ruler of crops, and Neper and Nepri, the god and goddess of grains. Plague 9, darkness, a strike against Ra, the most revered god of the sun, as well as Adum, Kefri, and Horus, who all represented different aspects of the sun. And Plague 10, the biggie, the death of the firstborn. This was an attack on all 2,000 gods of the Egyptians, all of whom were involved in life, death, and the afterlife, but most importantly, on Pharaoh himself, who was believed to be a living god upon the earth. Even he was not immune from the power of Yahweh. The Egyptian plagues, they weren't random events. It was a war upon the gods of Egypt to show God's people which God actually reigned supreme. So why don't we talk about this on Sundays? Well, it brings up a lot of interesting questions, and it's a complex video for another time. What are your thoughts? Please comment and follow for more.